All right, guys. This past week was really productive for our team to get some guys back. I think we had just about everybody back at practice that we felt like it was short term. Sunday night, and we expect everybody to be out there Tuesday. So having T.J. Worthy, Chris Prater, Al Rouse, Jalen Nixon, everybody for the most part that contributed in the first two games. Healthy is going to be a big plus because we missed quite a few guys there in our last game. Week was good. It was productive. Got some extra work in. Got some extra time in the classroom. Get caught up with some assignments with the open date, and had a chance to become a little more healthy too. And then also moving into the new facility was a big shot in the arm. I know a lot of you guys have seen a lot of the pictures out there that's been released of our players moving in. There'll be a short video released sometime soon also. But our guys, I think, were blown away. I think they expected it to be nice. I think a lot of people expected it to be nice, but I don't think anybody expected it to be what it is. And I think it's by far the top facility in the Group 5, and I think it's in the top half of all the facilities in the country. When you also add on that it's attached to our current 120-yard long indoor practice facility, all inclusive, one building. So that's the thing we're excited about. But right now, hopefully, the newness of all that, day one, we can get over that quickly because the guys were just walking around exploring, and you can tell, when we got down to practice, I said, guys, hey, Christmas is over, came a little bit early. Now we've got to get back to doing what we've got to do in order to get ready for a very talented Akron team coming to town Saturday night. Speaking of Akron, very familiar with their coaches and what they're about there at Akron. Coach Bowden does a great job of recruiting and attracting players to come into their program, whichever means that they come from, whether it's high school, junior college, transfers, and he's assembled an outstanding team as they're building a program there. Their offensive coordinator, as you know, played for me at North Alabama. I know what AJ's about. He is not only was he a great player, a very smart player, and obviously now it's transcending over into coaching, as I think he's the youngest offensive coordinator in the country. And so they've got an outstanding team and do an outstanding job. They played a really tough schedule, first two games of the year against two outstanding opponents, both on first one on the road at Oklahoma and then at Pitt, where at Pitt, they played them pretty dang good. They had some chances there at Pitt when they were playing Pitt, and then obviously this week blew Savannah State out of the water. So this is a team that's going to come in, obviously trying to get their season rolling now, since their first two big games are out of the way. Now they get into conference play and playing everybody else in the Group 5, and so I know they're going to come in excited and pumped up, and so we're going to have to make sure we're prepared. Hopefully we will be. I know it's going to be hot. That humidity has really kicked up lately, and we're expecting it to be a hot game on Saturday, but we're used to this Louisiana humidity, and hopefully the condition we've been in will be a big plus for us throughout the game. So, but nevertheless, big home game. Need our fans to be there. Need our student body, who, to be honest with you, just had the biggest crowd that I've ever seen our student body have. I hope they're going to show up again. I have no doubt that they won't. And my challenge once again for everybody, I think last week most of the fans brought one person. So if all the fans that came didn't, if they would bring one person, we'll sell this thing out. I think it'll be a big crowd. It's going to be much bigger than it was last week, the last home game. And I think this has got a chance to be a huge crowd, a great environment, and we'll need the fans to be our 12th man. So I'll open up. Any questions?
Akron's kind of been a really unclear quarterback. I know that kid Pohl was out with an injury last week, but getting prepared for them, watching them on film, what do you kind of get ready for with three guys that you're watching on film?
Well, I think they want to run the quarterback, and that's what we're preparing for. Is they want to be able to run the quarterback, whoever that might be. I still think they want to be a quarterback run team or have that threat, and they definitely have got one that can run, and more than one. And so that's what we're preparing for, and you got to prepare for more things than just the quarterback runs, but they are good athletes and they can run the football.
What was the guys' reaction to moving into the APC yesterday?
I think I took the seniors over first, and the seniors got to lead them in right off the bat. And you know, the building's one thing. When you walk inside now, even it's been 2 weeks since you guys have been in it, seeing all the graphics everywhere and all the NFL players and all the all-conference players and just all those type of bells and whistles. Y'all saw just the cake. They got to see the icing on the cake, and that's what really makes this facility so attractive and functional. And they had the music blaring in the team theater and in the locker room, and a lot of guys were in the players' lounge playing PlayStation 4 and just having a great time. And I'm really proud that our university is providing our student athletes with a top-notch facility, and that's going to encourage our current players to, once they leave here and move on, to hopefully want to give back one day too. And so, like our donors and our boosters and our community have to this extent, to give us this type of facility.
Taking the seniors in first, I'm imagining, because of, you know, it was those guys who kind of laid the foundation for that thing.
They did, and I told the seniors, along with the guys that have just recently graduated in the last 3 or 4 years, to me, those are the guys that built this facility. These freshmen that just showed up, well, they're very fortunate. They're moving this facility, and that's all they're really going to know is a facility like this. And these seniors, 4 years in this, you know, antiquated building right here, they can really appreciate moving into something like that.
Is this game kind of, so far, your truest test of where your team is, you think? Just having faced an FCS team and an SEC team, maybe this will kind of give you the right gauge?
You know, I don't know. You know, to me, you know, every game you play gives you a little bit of a gauge. We wanted to gauge ourselves against an SEC team. You know, when we played Kentucky, and in the second half we played, I thought, pretty well with those guys. But each week is a different week. This team has a lot of speed. They've got a very talented defensive line, a linebacker core that I think can really run. I'm going to tell you, Coach Amato there does a great job defensively. He is, you know, a very experienced defense coordinator, head coach. He's been at the Division I level a long time, and does a great job. It's going to be a huge challenge for us to decipher the code early, because they do change defensively. They do a lot defensively, and each week there's a different defensive game plan. And so we're going to have to figure out what that plan is early, make adjustments if needed, because they tend to show the different things, you know, each week.
Is there anything at all to be learned from 2 years ago up there, or is that too far removed?
No, we're definitely looking at that game 2 years ago. You know, they did a couple of nice things in that game. You know, it schemed us up in a couple of ways that we want to make sure that we've got answers for if we happen to see some of those things again. And so that's definitely part of the game planning process.
Their nose tackle Grice had 3 rushing touchdowns against Savannah State. Do you all have any defensive linemen who think they're really quarterbacks or running backs, just moonlighting as D linemen?
All our guys probably, if you asked them, think they could run the ball if you asked them. So Sherrod would say, yeah, Coach, I can score too. So, but they do, you know, they have utilized some of their defensive players on the offensive side of the ball to run the ball, and that's a lineman's dream to be able to do that. So, you know, they love that. And so now all that's going to do is cause my guys to say, Coach, their D linemen getting to run the ball. Why aren't we getting to run the ball? So I thank Coach Bowden for giving me that headache probably this week at practice.
Aside from just getting healthy, what was one of the biggest benefits of having this bye weekend?
You know, one, go back and continue working fundamentals. Defensively, you know, it's a new scheme. And so it allowed us to go back and look at the first 2 games, say, okay, this is where we were. Let's assess, and then let's move forward and see how we can improve, see things we like. Do we have the guys in right positions? And, you know, all that went into play. And then obviously the extra work was huge. And the time off from the grind, I think, was good for them mentally. I think our team is going to come in this game very fresh, very healthy, very excited, because we're playing at home in front of another great home crowd. So I think all those things are going to come into play.
Coach, you mentioned defensively that Coach Mono likes to do a lot of different things. They're pretty good at linebacker. Interesting enough, watching them both at Oklahoma and Pitt, of course, those are the first 2 games of the season. They played in the rain, one of those games. But they had trouble stopping the run. Do you expect them to play a lot of 8 guys in the box, come out
Well, I think anybody that plays a team that likes to run the ball, and we want to be able to run the ball. The first thing you want to try to do is stop what they do best, and I'm sure they want to try to stop the run. And so we've got to have a great plan and got to have some flexibility within that plan to be able to do some other things too, because they definitely, I'm sure, want to try to come in and stop what we try to do best, and that's we try to run the football and be physical and be tough, and I'm going to tell you this, so they're a very tough physical team too. And so it's going to be a huge challenge.
Do you anticipate Worthy working his way back into the starting lineup by week 7?
I do, unless something unforeseen happens. He's been progressing very nicely this last week. I expect him to practice tomorrow, and he's going to have to in order to be able to learn the game plan. But expect him back.
Did he and those other guys go last night, or did they not really do anything?
Yeah, they went last night. Yep, matter of fact, did pretty good too. They looked 100%, so I was real pleased.
You didn't mention Ephraim Reed on the list.
Yeah, he's still a guy that's sort of week to week. The game plan really all along was hopefully to have him back by La Tech. Don't know if that's going to change, but that was the game plan.
What was AJ like as your quarterback back in North Alabama? Looking up, he had some pretty crazy stats.
Crazy stats, high numbers. And, he was a winner too. We won a lot of games with AJ as our quarterback, and he's a guy that studied the game. He knew he was a coach on the field for me. We was always on the same wavelength, and he's a guy you could count on to make the right decisions, and he didn't make a lot of foolish mistakes and would throw the ball away when needed, but boy, when he had to, he could pull a rabbit out of the hat too and make a great play to extend a drive or to get a touchdown to put you back in the game or to win the game. We won a lot of games late with him because he was our our field general. So think the world of that guy and his family. Know his dad and his family really well, and he's going to be one heck of a football coach, and already is, but he'll be a head coach one day.
There's a lot of connections between you and this Akron staff. Is it going to be kind of, are you planning on catching up with them at all before the game, after the game?
No, it's just really no time. We're busy. When they come in, they've got practices, they've got walkthroughs, they're checking in the hotel. We're practice, walkthrough, check in the hotel. It's no time, and after the game, I'm sure we'll exchange a text or two, and then the week after the game, maybe try to catch up and say, hey, both sides, what you see when y'all scouting us. We'll probably exchange a couple of things so we don't play them in the foreseen future again. So I'll ask them some things. I'm sure they might want to say, hey, what's some things y'all saw, and we'll do the same, as we scouted each other and prepared for each other. But they've got an outstanding staff.
Coach, what is maybe the positive or the negative in watching teams, especially in major teams like MAC or Sun Belt, CUSA, play those out-of-conference games that we do against, P5 programs, Oklahoma, Pittsburgh, or what's the disadvantage?
In which way?
When watching either watching those games when you have an opponent who's had to play this competition.
Well, and more times than not, just like when we played Kentucky, when you play those guys, you're playing the game to win the game. So you're not going to come in and just hand them. You're going to show what you do when you play those really good opponents, way more than you're going to show what you do when you play Northwestern and Savannah State. And so you get a good gauge of who they really want to be. And same thing when they watch us play Kentucky. We pulled out all these 2-point plays. Now we got to go back and design some more, and those aren't easy. 2-point plays aren't magical. And so, you sort of show what you do when you play good people. And so, I thought we had a good gauge of who they are when we watched those two games, and not necessarily the Savannah State game, because I'm sure some of the things they were doing, they had the game well in hand early, and then if you're not careful, you get in a lot of tendency breakers that really don't relate to what they really want to be or what they really want to do in certain parts and situations of the game. So you got to be careful not combining all that information together.
Moved into the APC and trying to get guys back healthy. Do you still feel like you accomplished everything you wanted to in this off week?
I think so. Yeah, for the most part, I thought so. Other guys, Darzell continues to make progress, and he may be a little ahead of the curve, to be honest with you. Still no firm date of when we're going to have him back, but I thought he's looking pretty good.
Is there any guys right now that you're seeing that maybe some of the younger guys that are developing maybe a little faster than you expected coming into week 4?
Yeah, but the receivers, Gary Haynes, you know, never expected him to catch 8 balls against Kentucky in the first game, and Keenan Barnes had the big fade route in the last game, and then Travis Crawford played the entire game, and that was really big to develop some depth. He gained a lot of confidence, and so I think those guys are the 3 that probably come to mind more than anybody that have played and contributed as young players. And Stevie Ortigue and Stevie Coots, those 2 really did well.
You talked about playing the Power 5 teams, but you're playing a peer conference team this week, and 3 other conference teams are playing somebody in peer conferences.
Right.
Commissioner had talked about at press day about how important those games were. Are they, are these the games outside the conference maybe that you look at that that you sort of need to?
Well, for your conference rankings at the end of the year, they always rank teams that go to bowls, teams that win bowls, head-to-head versus other conferences, and then the Group 5 is ranked 1 to 5, just like the Power 5 is ranked 1 to 5, and so the Sun Belt's success outside the conference will determine where we're ranked as a conference at the end of the day. Right now, Georgia Southern beat Western Michigan, I think, 2 weeks ago, and then this past week, South Alabama had a big win over San Diego State. So, those are 2 big non-conference wins against other Group 5 conferences. And it's every conference is trying to do the best they can to be ranked as high as can, because obviously the number 1 team gets more money, and it's just more things riding on it. So we want to do well as a conference when we play out of conference.
Tight ends haven't been really super involved in the passing game yet, but are they doing all the things you guys are asking to in the blocking side of things?
They are. They're doing a great job there. And our tight ends, they catch as many balls as they allow us to throw to them, if that makes sense. Pee Wee allowed you to throw a lot of balls to him, and these guys are just sort of getting their feet wet a little bit. They're really doing great in the run game. Went and called their number a whole lot in the passing game, but they're very effective in the run game. And not to say they can't catch the ball. They all have outstanding hands, but we're just utilizing them a little bit different right now within the game plans. But those things can change, and that we're always going to have one on the field, so they're always going to be playing.
You feel getting in and getting it off week and getting in the APC and getting over all the initial reaction players and all that, it's kind of put that to rest for this new coach?
I hope so. I hope we got it to rest Sunday night, and because that's a pretty neat thing for some kids to move in that type of facility when it's been sitting there in front of them for a year, teasing them to death, and then they finally get to move in. And so hopefully, though, all that is over with. I want them to enjoy it. I want it to be more functional for them, and I'm hoping that it's going to help us in the future prepare our current kids even better, and we can be way more productive with this new facility.
Jalen going to be? I know he's coming back to practice. You think he's going to be totally good to go?
He will be cleared and good to go for Saturday.
I know you're still not 100% decided on that. Is he still going to have a big role? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know yet. Brooks is going to get the start, but I anticipate Jalen playing at some point and having a role. And like I said, how the game flows, where the game takes us, may dictate him playing more or less or not at all. It just sort of depends. But Brooks has earned the start this week, or two good weeks of practice, or last week, and I'm hoping that both those guys continue to prepare like starters, and that's what I told him. If they both had not prepared like starters, Jalen wouldn't have been prepared to come in there in the second half against Kentucky. So they both got to prepare like they're starters, just like everybody on our team. Somebody's a broken shoelace or slight injury away, knock on wood, from being a starter. So you've got to prepare like you're a starter.
Is Brooks going to get the majority of the first team reps though this week?
Don't know. I'll tell you next week if they did this week. That's a good try, though. You about got me on that one.
You said before the season that behind Eli it'd be kind of a committee of 3. Torrey Pierce has kind of taken that backup role and ran with it.
He has, and I don't see that changing a whole lot. I think he's definitely running right behind Eli. I don't see anybody if unless something changes. I don't see anybody taking that spot over. He's having a great camp. He's running really well and effective.
Do you think Jamal is where you expected him to be at this point?
Not yet, but he's making progress. I think he's going to be way better. He was better in Game 3 than he was Game 2, and I think he'll be, or Game 2 than 1. I think he'll be better in Game 3 than he was in Game 2. I think he's just now getting back to playing ball. Missed all last season, missed all spring ball, didn't get any live reps in camp. He's just getting used to being hit, tackled, and people in his face, and I'm expecting him. He's had a great week of practice too. That confidence is coming back, and when he gets that swagger about him, he's dang tough to stop.
Coach, you mentioned a two-point conversion. Is it more difficult to be successful than it used to be, and is it any different than like a 3rd and 3 or 3rd and goal from the 2 or 3? I mean, it just seems like I see a lot more misses than you used to.
Third and goal from the 3, for the most part, you probably have some of the same calls sometimes. But the only thing on the 3rd and goal from the 3, the only thing in the back of your mind is you might be in 4-down territory. You know what I'm saying? On a 2-point conversion, you're not in 4-down territory, and if you don't make it, you don't get to kick a field goal. So your mindset's a little bit different. You just got to get in there. Where on 3rd and 3 from the 3, you get 1.5 yards to 2 yards, you may want to dial up a 4th and 1. So you don't get that opportunity on the 2-point conversion. So the plays you dial up, they've got to have a chance to get the ball in the end zone, and you got to weigh out the pros versus the cons. For us, we had to have it to tie the game. It went like it was early in the game, wanted to go for 2 to keep it a 1-score game. Sometimes you don't even do that early in the game. But in that situation, I think it's totally different than a 3rd and 3 from the goal line. But sometimes you still use the same plays.
Did you expect Jamal's resurgence to take this long?
I don't know if I expected it to, but now looking back with hindsight, I could see where it has. Just the fact that guys got to get in the game, got to get his feet wet a little bit. Hadn't played in a year, basically, and so. But I tell you, he's making a lot of good progress. If he can stay healthy this year, he is going to hit his stride. I have no doubt about it.
Any update on Simeon Thomas, or we're still just waiting to see?
Yeah, no update yet. We're still in a holding pattern, and until they tell us different, that's all we're waiting on them.
Is one of the secondary or side challenges this week to prevent players from having Louisiana Tech circled in red or peeking at that? Is that a challenge at all? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But they know what this team is about, because we snuck out of there 2 years ago with the win, I think 32-30, and they came storming back. So we've tried to make sure we kept it one game at a time, focus, and they know that we've got to be prepared for this game. The other ones down the road, we'll worry about those later. Now that's easier said than done, but we seem to be pretty focused.
Everybody good?
You get to watch any football this Saturday?
You know what I did? I watched quite a bit, and it was fun getting to see some other games, watch some old friends, watch their teams, and do a little Monday morning quarterback like you guys do. So it was pretty good. Yeah, I figured out it's a lot easier to make the call after the play's over. No wonder you guys always make the right call. I made a lot of good calls there Saturday too. I said I never would have ran that, but I said it after the play every time.
Is that clipboard a little shorter in the recliner shirt?
That's right, no doubt. All right, guys. See y'all. Thanks.